Lucas Rivera was the embodiment of the American dream. Growing up in a modest Chicago neighborhood, he spent his childhood watching his parents struggle to provide for him and his younger brothers. My father worked the night shift in a warehouse. My mother had 2 jobs, cleaning houses and working part-time in a cafe kitchen. In this chaos of struggle, his desire to break free and prove that he deserved more was born. The determination paid off. Lucas received a grant to study at the University of California at Berkeley. There, among ambitions and new horizons, he met Mia Solis, an artist with the soul of a poet and a look full of dreams. Mia was the complete opposite of Lucas. Where he saw plan and purpose, she saw feeling and form. Their connection was sparked at a university exhibition where Mia's painting of hope and survival touched Lucas's heart. They were incompatible, and yet perfect. Despite the difference in their characters, their love developed rapidly. Lucas was building his own logistics startup, and Mia was working part-time to support him not only morally, but also financially. They shared a tiny room in Auckland where Lucas's shipping plans and Mia's future exhibition sketches hung on the walls. But the more successful Lucas became, the further he moved away from their shared past. He became closed off, obsessed with his mission. Mia, who dreamed of the present, began to get lost in his future. After a particularly bad argument, she said, "You married your dream, Lucas. You don't need me anymore," she said quietly, but with undisguised disappointment. There was a weariness in her voice, built up over months of struggling alone next to the man who had once been her inspiration, but was now almost a stranger. She looked at him one last time, expecting at least some word, some gesture, some spark, some understanding. But he was silent. His gaze was directed towards the future, towards ambition, towards the idea, and not towards her. And then she realized he made a choice. She turned and walked away. Without a stage, no hysterics, only with pain in the heart and determination. In every step, several months passed and Mia found out that she was pregnant. Left alone in San Francisco, she made a decision to raise her children without Lucas. He made his choice, and she will make hers. One cloudy evening, she gave birth to triplets, Elia, Noah, and Sienna. Mia worked several part-time jobs, selling paintings, teaching art classes to children at a local arts center, and occasionally doing window dressing for small galleries and cafes. She lived modestly but with dignity, carefully creating a warm and safe world for her children, filled with books, music, and flowers. In the evenings, they baked cookies together, painted old boxes into castles, and built huts out of sheets where they read stories by flashlight. Every year, her children grew up, absorbing what their mother taught them: kindness, perseverance, respect for work, and strength of spirit. She didn't tell them about Lucas, but she didn't allow herself to raise them in bitterness. Instead, she spoke of choice, of hope, and of how love is not always presence, but always caring. She taught them to love life no matter what, and to find beauty even in simple things, in a painting on a window on a rainy day, in the first flowers on the sidewalk in spring, in the warmth of hugs under a blanket. Mia wasn't just a mom, she was their whole world. And Lucas? He became a millionaire. His startup was bought by an international corporation, and he moved to New York. His name was on everyone's lips. He gave interviews, attended forums, and was an idol for young entrepreneurs. And one day he decided to take the next step, to marry Victoria Hale, the daughter of one of the company's investors, with whom he was connected not by feelings, but by common goals. The wedding was planned as the event of the year. The Hudson River estate was rented, decorated at hundreds of thousands of dollars, every dish by a Michelin-starred chef, every guest a VIP. And among all the invitations there was one special one, sent to Mia. He wanted her to see who she had lost, that he was able to build an empire without needing her support, without looking back. He imagined Mia entering the hall, lost among the glitter and luxury, and sadly realizing what kind of life she could have lived next to him. For Lucas, this was more than just an invitation. It was a statement, almost a challenge. He dreamed. of seeing a reflection of her regret, not suspecting that the past itself would come to remind him of itself. Mia, seeing the invitation, at first wanted to throw it away. She was holding it in her hands when Eli ran up to show her his drawing. And then she realized she would not go alone. On her wedding day, she arrived in a simple but elegant dress. The triplets are wearing identical suits and dresses. Their eyes were shining. They didn't know where they were going. Mia said to a nice party, but she knew it wouldn't be just any day. When they entered the hall, the music died down, as if the atmosphere itself sensed the approach of something important. All eyes turned towards the entrance. Mia walked confidently, unhurriedly, holding the hands of 3 children who were admiringly looking at the luxurious hall. Their outfits, neat. Hairstyles and sparkling eyes made them look like little princes and princesses. But what really caught attention was the incredible resemblance to Lucas, which was obvious even to those who knew him briefly. Lucas saw them and froze. It was as if time had stopped, and the entire hall had turned into a silent theater in which he was the only spectator on the stage of fate. His gaze met Mia's eyes, in which there was no malice or bitterness, only calm and determination. It was not a scene of revenge. It was a meeting with the truth. Mia stopped in front of him, let go of the children's hands, and took a step forward. Her voice sounded confident and calm, despite the tense silence that enveloped the room. "Lucas, these are your children. Meet Eli, Noah, and Sienna." She turned slightly to the children, who were watching what was happening with interest and slight excitement. Eli narrowed his eyes as if trying to recognize the man in front of him. Noah took his sister's hand, and Sienna reached out to her mother. "They're not just a part of my world, Lucas. They're your blood, your extension, and they're here because they have a right to know who their father is." He was shocked, as if the world beneath his feet had collapsed in an instant. His bride Victoria stood motionless, her gaze cold and accusing. A buzz went up in the hall. Someone gasped, someone shook their head, and more faces turned to Lucas with bewilderment and condemnation. His heart was pounding and his throat was dry. Everything he had built up for so long, the image of an ideal, successful man, a future with Victoria, a reputation as an impeccable businessman, crumbled like a house of cards in the wind of truth. And in that moment, Lucas understood for the first time how fragile an illusion could be if there was a lie behind it. Victoria tore off her veil and threw it on the floor. "Have you been living with such a secret all this time? We're done." Lucas was left alone in the hall. He approached the children. Eli looked at him and asked, "Are you our dad?" Lucas couldn't speak. He just nodded. After the wedding, Mia did not demand anything from him. She said, "You can disappear, or you can be a father, but not halfway, all the way, or not at all." He chose to be a father, and this was the most difficult and most real decision in his life. He started going to San Francisco, at first once a week, then more often. He drew with Sienna, played chess with Noah, read fairy tales to Eli. He came when they had stomach pains, when they fell off the bike, when they had school plays. 2 years have passed. They called him Daddy. He was no longer just a tall stranger with a shy smile to them. He had become part of their everyday life. Lucas knew that Noah had soccer. On Wednesdays, that Sienna liked strawberry ice cream and that Eli hated loud noises. He learned their habits, their fears, and their dreams. They had movie nights together, argued about who was the best superhero, and fell asleep on the couch under a blanket. He became an integral part of their lives, and although he still had mistakes and failures, he no longer tried to be perfect. He was simply there. And one day at a family dinner, Eli said, "This was the best day, Dad, even better than the first party we went to." Lucas smiled, because for the first time I understood. Here it is, happiness. Dear viewers, what do you think about this story? Please tell us in the comments, and if you liked this video, then like it and subscribe to our channel. Goodbye. English, United States, all.